What's good, y'all? My name is Zach Young, and welcome back to Young Money Sports. You know, I know this is going to be shocking to some of y'all, but I watch a lot of sports. And unfortunately, in my 20 plus years of watching sports, I have found that all my professional teams peaked way too early. Now, they range from being okay to downright awful. The Miami Heat are my best team, as they've been able to pull 2 finals appearances out of their ass in 4 years. The only thing holding them back is the inability of the front office to pull off another big trade or free agent signing. The Cleveland Guardians are just mediocre, making the ALDS 2 years ago and not much besides that since I became a fan. The San Jose Sharks, let's just say, aren't having the best season, but at least they're rebuilding. They have some nice young pieces and hopefully a number 1 pick coming their way soon. And finally, the team that inspired me to make this video, the Denver Broncos. This team, once the envy of the league with their high-flying offense and shit-wrecking defense, is now a laughingstock that football hasn't seen since the 0-16 Cleveland Browns. Although I still wouldn't say that the Browns are exactly the best-run team in the NFL. But anyway, the near decade of mostly bad drafting, free agent and trade bust, and disappointing staff hires has left me and many Broncos fans in a state of annoyed apathy. Like, I know that the team is gonna suck, but I still find myself getting invested and inevitably pissed when the team sucks. This causes me to bitch up a storm every week to anyone that'll listen. And something that I will hear when I'm complaining about how bad the team is will be, well, at least you've seen your team win the Super Bowl. And on one hand, I understand that argument. I will always cherish that 2015 squad that managed to shut down the league MVP and route to the franchise's 3rd Super Bowl. And there are fans of teams like the Bengals and Lions who went their entire lives without even seeing the team win a playoff game before the last couple seasons. Not to mention the countless fans of teams across multiple leagues that have never even seen their team play for a championship, let alone win one. But on the other hand, the dust is only going to continue to build up on that Lombardi trophy. If nothing changes, that championship drought could increase to 15, 30, even 40 years. And I guarantee you that everyone working for that team doesn't get home after another losing season and think, well, we may suck now, but at least we won the Super Bowl almost a decade ago. So, someone who isn't familiar with sports may look at my and many others' worst situations and ask, why? Why after so many years of losing, bad hires, and overall franchise ineptitude, do we continue to watch sports and accept failure? For the longest time, watching professional sports for me was tougher than it is right now, simply because of the location of all my teams. The closest of all my teams is the Guardians, and they're still almost 6 hours away. And it was not really even about being able to watch them play, it was primarily about how I had nobody to relate to when it came to my sports teams. See, in Kentucky, people normally like teams such as the Bengals, Titans, Predators, Pacers, and Reds. I can count the amount of Heat, Sharks, Guardians, and Broncos fans that I know in Kentucky on one hand. That feeling of not being able to relate to anyone isn't nearly as bad for me now because of the rise of sports content creation on platforms like YouTube and Twitter. On YouTube, I can watch people like That's Good Sports and Locked On Sharks to hear other fans talk about the Broncos and Sharks. Even on Twitter, there are people like Mile High Mims, Heat Nation, and Chef Trilly to talk about the Broncos and Heat. Still nobody for the Guardians though. But all this leans into the bigger idea of fan relatability. If your team is terrible and you have nobody to talk to about it, then there's less incentive to stick around. But the sense of community that sports fandom brings really helps during the good and bad. Like when I watched the Miami Heat go 5 minutes without making a field goal in the 4th quarter and end up losing a game that will push them back into a play-in spot, I go somewhere like Twitter to see that everyone else feels the same way that I do. Am I still pissed about how the team is playing? Oh hell yeah. But so is everyone else, which makes it a little more alright. I mean, it's still not alright. Like, how the hell does your team offense consistently get this bad in the 4th quarter?
A casino where I'm winning? That car must have killed me. I must be in heaven. A casino where I always win? That's boring. I must really be in hell!
Whether we want to admit it or not, a lot of us like adversity. It can be a struggle, of course, but if we get through it, It allows us to grow and feel like we earned something. That applies to watching sports as well. What I mean by that is if our teams won all the time, then it would become very boring to watch. And I know what you're saying. Winning? Boring? Winning is never boring. Winning is the greatest feeling in the world. True, winning is a fantastic feeling that everyone should experience. But I would argue that one of the major reasons that winning is valued so much, especially in sport, is because it's such a rare feeling. It is a privilege, a luxury. You are always told to bask in it and enjoy the moment because you never know when you're going to experience it again. Think about it. If your team won 30 championships in a row and never lost a game during any of those seasons, seeing them win wouldn't be that exciting anymore. It would become mundane and routine. You probably couldn't tell the difference between championships number 8 and 26. So as much as we may complain if our teams are terrible, we know deep down that all this losing will make it feel all the better when the team eventually turns it around and starts winning. That's why seeing a team win their first championship or end a long championship drought is one of the cooler things to witness in sports. Even making the finals in a crazy underdog run can have a similar effect. Hell, look at the Detroit Lions. In a vacuum, winning 2 playoff games and making a conference championship appearance as a 3 seed is nice, but when you take into account the Lions' decades of failure, wasted talent, and the fact that the Lions had only won a single playoff game in over 60 years of existence, that creates a season that the Lions fans will remember and cherish for years to come. I mean, you had grown-ass men crying in the stands after their wildcard victory over the Rams, and not just because of the playoff win, but the fact that Lions fans could say that they were Super Bowl contenders for the first time since their lone playoff win with Barry Sanders in 1991. The fans felt that they had earned this, not just because of what the team accomplished during the previous season, but because of what they failed to accomplish during the last 60. And that's just a feeling in a moment that you can't get without going through at least some sort of adversity as a fan. Yeah, this one is definitely the most obvious one, but there is still a lot of depth to it. For most of us, there was a reason that we started cheering for a professional sports team. We didn't just wake up one day, pick a random team out of a hat and say, well, I'm going to dedicate the rest of my life cheering for this team now. And a lot of the reasons that we remain loyal to our team stem from a childhood love for them that will ultimately bring us back during times that we feel like leaving the team. Maybe you liked a specific player or group of players. Maybe you were raised in a family that supported a specific team based on location. Or maybe you just saw a team that was winning a lot and decided to start cheering for them because, let's be honest, a lot of kids are bandwagoners. Speaking from personal experience, I was originally an Indianapolis Colts fan because in 2009, 7-year-old me saw that they were 14-0 and I decided to start cheering for them. They ended up losing in the Super Bowl that year, which would give me a taste of what I would experience 4 years later with another Peyton Manning-led team. That also led to me picking Peyton Manning as my favorite player and becoming a Denver Broncos fan when he signed there in 2012. I became a Miami Heat fan when I was 8 and LeBron James joined the team, as he was also my favorite player at the time. Thankfully, I wised up and chose Dwayne Wade to be my favorite NBA player once I started watching and witnessed LeBron get outplayed by JJ Barea and Jason Terry in the finals. I became a San Jose Sharks fan when I was 15, simply because I wanted an NHL team and I thought they had the coolest mascot. And I became an at the time Cleveland Indians fan when I was 17 because I wanted an MLB team and I knew that my grandpa was a lifelong fan, so it was something that him and I could both share. I mean, I could have become a Reds fan, but nah, I'm not even gonna act like I was considering that. I mean, did you guys see how they completely wasted the career of Joey Votto? I saw the hell they put my dad and brother through for years, and I wanted no part of that shit show. And reasons like these are why I think it's harder to dedicate your time to a new team if you're older and don't have a long-time connection to them, especially if you didn't really watch sports much before considering. I mean, you probably went over 20 years without caring before, so what's gonna make you care now? Plus, there could be a real problem based on the quality of your new team. If they're really good, you could be considered a bandwagon, but if they're god-awful, then it could be really easy to be like, really? The team is ass already? Well, I've got no reason to stay. Fuck this, I'm out. They have nothing to fall back on like the rest of us, which really comes in handy when your team loses 17 straight games to your most hated rival and you want to chuck the remote through the TV. Yeah, I'm talking about your stupid team, Patrick Mahomes. You may have just won your 3rd Super Bowl, but we beat you jabronis in a meaningless game in Week 8. How does it feel to be owned by Josie Jewell and Justin Simmons? Yeah, my team may suck, but at least our fan base didn't get hijacked by the Swifties, you overrated sons of I guess I'll wrap things up by saying, like a lot of things in life, watching sports can be, and normally is, a frustrating experience. The team almost never does exactly what you want or thinks they should be capable of doing, and most seasons end not with a bang, but a whimper. But I still can never see myself leaving any of my teams. Some may see this as Stockholm Syndrome, but I always think, hey, I've cheered for them this long, might as well just stick it out. Plus, the end result isn't always the most important thing. Professional sports seasons can be like a freaking roller coaster ride with a ton of ups and downs. And once the season ends, the ups are, normally, going to be what I'll remember years down the line. I really enjoy participating in discourse for each of my teams, both online and in person. I've always loved going to watch my teams play live, regardless of their quality, and I've made an effort to try to go watch them on the rare occasions that they are within a 3-hour drive. And hey, maybe before I'm 6 feet under, one of my teams could maybe break through and win the whole thing. Some adding more hardware to the trophy case, while others could win it for the first time ever. And I guess that's what your mindset has to be in order to watch sports and accept failure. That's going to do it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch y'all later.